In the small towns and villages across ancient Judea, whispers spread like wildfire about a man named Jesus, a rabbi with healing hands and words that struck to the heart. While most saw him as a teacher of peace, there were those who saw something else, a spark, a passion, and an almost revolutionary spirit. They wondered, could Jesus be the one to finally break the chains of oppression that had bound them for so long? One evening, in a crowded hillside gathering, Jesus was addressing a group of peasants, laborers, and seekers, those who had little power or influence. These were people crushed under the weight of Roman rule, exhausted by taxes, and bound by traditions that offered little relief. He spoke to them of the kingdom of heaven, a mysterious concept that seemed to promise a new world order. "Blessed are the meek," he declared, "for they shall inherit the earth." It was a promise to those who had been forgotten, left behind, or stepped on. A message that, for some, held a glimmer of revolution, yet Jesus' words were cryptic. Unlike a typical revolutionary leader, he didn't incite violence or encourage uprising. Instead, he spoke of a profound transformation of the human spirit, a shift in values. To him, this new kingdom was not just about overthrowing rulers or claiming land. It was about a reimagining of society where love, compassion, and forgiveness held power. For those who listened carefully, it seemed as though Jesus was planting seeds for a revolution of a different kind, one that would reshape humanity itself. But the more radical members of the audience felt an urgency. They had seen the devastation Rome wrought. They had heard about uprisings crushed, families torn apart, and sacred places desecrated. They had experienced what it meant to live under the weight of oppression, where even a whisper of rebellion could lead to brutal consequences. These people looked to Jesus with a burning hope. If he could heal the sick and give sight to the blind, could he not also lead them out of this darkness? Jesus, aware of their hope, chose his words carefully. He spoke in parables, stories that seemed simple but carried deep meaning, accessible only to those who sought truth. "The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed," he said. "Though it is the smallest of all seeds, when it grows, it becomes the largest of garden plants, a tree where birds find shelter." To some, this meant hope. Small acts of love and kindness would grow into something larger than life itself, something that could shelter and protect. Still, the disciples and followers pressed him. "Teacher, are you here to restore the kingdom?" they would ask. But Jesus, instead of answering directly, would tell them to turn the other cheek, to go the extra mile, to love their enemies. These words left many feeling perplexed, even disappointed. They wanted victory, freedom, power. And yet, Jesus seemed to be speaking of an inner freedom, a revolution of the heart. One night, alone with his disciples, Jesus spoke plainly. "Those who live by the sword will die by the sword." His tone was firm, as if speaking to the ages. "The true kingdom of heaven is within you. The revolution I bring is one of spirit, not of war. True strength lies not in conquering others, but in overcoming oneself, in being compassionate and loving in the face of hatred." Still, his followers wondered if he had come to fulfill the old prophecies and reclaim the throne of David. But the more Jesus taught, the clearer it became that his kingdom was not of this world. This mission wasn't about seizing power from Rome or toppling the authorities of the land. It was a divine revolution, intended to transform humanity from within, transcending earthly empires. When Jesus was ultimately arrested and taken to the cross, many of his followers were devastated, left feeling as though their hopes had been dashed. But in that moment, something extraordinary happened. His sacrifice ignited a movement, one that spread far beyond Judea. The revolution he had promised was no longer confined to borders or political powers. It was a living, breathing force within every person willing to embrace it. The mystery of Jesus as a revolutionary, then, wasn't about fighting an empire with swords. Instead, he was leading a rebellion of the soul, challenging humanity to rise above hatred, fear, and violence to become agents of love. And in that quiet, unseen way, he ignited the most profound revolution of all.